Welcome, my political friends of the interwebs. Well, it's official. Hell has just frozen over. It just froze over. And people are ice skating. It's amazing. Unbelievable. What am I talking about? Well, hey. If you have followed me at all over the last few years, you know that I am no fan of China at all. I think the Chinese government is evil incarnate. I really do. Their human rights record's unbelievable. Beyond description. Horrible. Horrible. Now, that's not to say that the Chinese people themselves aren't decent. They're people like anybody else. But their government is evil. I've never said anything other than that about their government, ever. Here's where hell freezes over. I am standing with China on something. I am literally standing on China's side. I'm standing tough right there with China. Alright, so you're asking, what the hell is he talking about? Okay, here's the deal. China, well, I'll just read this headline. China ready to impound EU planes in CO2 dispute. Now, that doesn't explain it all, I guess. Basically, here's the deal. The European Union, and by the way, aren't they supposed to be imploding? When are they going to fall apart and quit becoming an entity? Because it's really starting to annoy the shit out of me. Between them and the UN, come on. We need to go back to the way it used to be. But anyway, the EU, the European Union, has this cap and trade scheme, whatever you want to call it. This whole carbon emissions scam that they got going on, where they're going to be taxing the bejeebas out of the airlines around the globe. Yeah, the European Union collecting all kinds of money. What they're going to do with that money, God only knows. Maybe bail out another country or two. China told them to get bent. That's exactly what China told them. What they asked all the airlines to do is submit reports to let them know what the carbon footprint is on each plane in their fleet. And China basically said, no, not going to do it. Not even interested in doing that because you're full of it. And I've said this for so long. These greenies, these lunatics from the Greenpeace left, these nut jobs, all have this fantasy in their mind. And, listen, a lot of them, seriously, a lot of them, it's all about the money. It's all about the scam. Okay? A lot of them, it's all about the scam. But for some, it's a religion. It's Mother Earth. It's a religion. It's a small percentage of the scammers. But there's a small percentage that really, truly believe this nonsense. Okay, but I've always said this. It doesn't matter what we do in the United States. Okay, we could put our coal miners out of work. We can devastate a whole industry. We can have coal-burning power plants shut down right and left and cause the price of electricity, residential and commercial, to skyrocket. We can do all those things. And in the end, we're just pissing in the wind, literally. Because China is going to continue building a coal-burning power plant one every month. They're going to continue doing all the things that it takes to be number one on this planet. Okay, they've got their eye on the prize. They're not going to hamstring themselves. That's why I try to tell people all the time, well, we need to do this, we need to do that. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. As far as I can tell, we live on a planet, and, the planet is round, and, air at one point might be over China, and the next thing you know, because of wind currents, it's over North America. So, it doesn't really matter, because China doesn't give a rat's ass, and maybe that's because China's like me. China realizes the whole thing's one big freaking scam. And China's not going to be hampered. They're not. They're going to be number one on this planet, and there ain't nobody going to stand in their way. And if the EU thinks that they're going to pull some silly-ass carbon tax credit bullshit, it ain't going to freaking happen. So, first, the EU decides that they're going to tell China, well, hey, we reserve the right to impound your planes. China said, really? You want to play that game? We'll impound your planes. Well, then China steps it up a notch, because they had a contract with Airbus. And that contract was, I don't remember for how many planes, but it was worth about $14 to $15 billion. Well, China says, look, we're just going to have to, we're going to have to cancel that because obviously we can't be flying to Europe. You know, which, stand tough, China. I'm on your side. Stand tough. Don't give in to these greeny nut jobs. It's all about the money. That's really what it is. It's all about the money. And here's how I know this. Okay, the EU has told everybody, including the United States, that they're charging a carbon tax from the point of departure to the point of destination. Okay, so they're charging a carbon tax for the whole route, not just the carbon that's being emitted over Europe. You know, it's just a freaking scam, people, and China's read through it, and China rightfully is telling them to get screwed. And, you know, God bless them. I cannot believe that I'm standing hip to hip with China on this, but I am. And I wish that the United States would take note. Because this is nothing more than a big scheme, a big scam to get a whole bunch of money. It's all it is. All it is. You know, every day I hear about how the EU is going to start breaking up. So what happens when they break up? Who gets to keep the money? The UN get to keep the money? Because, you know, the UN's right in line with this nonsense. You know, the sooner, in fact, and I know it's a totally different subject. I need to do a complete video on this, but the sooner we show the UN the door, the better. I mean, if they want to stay together as a little body of whatever, they can. But get the hell out of New York. Get the hell out of the United States. I'm sick of my tax money supporting those bastards. All they do is try to backdoor the United States anyway. You know, and here's the other thing. You know, you talk about these EUs and UNs that are collecting all this money from these taxes. These are the most corrupt organizations on the planet. Think about the UN when they were in charge of the oil for food program in Iraq. How many of those UN officials were pocketing tons and tons of money? It's always about the money with these nut jobs. Always. Now, having said that, when you're talking about the green movement, okay, the green movement does have what I call useful idiots. And these are a small select group of people who really do believe all this nonsense. They really do. I mean, they really do. These are your foot soldiers. These are the ones that will get in the trenches for you. And while the rest of the fat cats at the UN and the EU just laugh and pocket the money, they've got these morons at Greenpeace and all these other, you know, crazy organizations, the Sierra Club. I mean, it's endless. You know, that are out there beating the drum. You know, people like Ashley Judd chaining herself to the top of a mountain to save it. You know. You know, here's the thing that kills me, okay? I mean, because I know that there are people out there who really do believe that this carbon tax thing is a good thing, but they're not thinking this thing through. China is, I am, but they're not. Here's what I mean by that. There's 7 billion people in this on this planet right now. Okay, a little over 7. But we're around out 7 billion people, and that number is growing every single day. Every single day, somebody's having a baby, okay? And around the world, because of a lot of the efforts from the West, and some charitable works from organizations like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, more and more people are being born and thriving, and some of which are even becoming middle class. In fact, China has an enormous middle class now. They didn't used to, but now they do. It's funny when you look at it because the policies that we're doing in the United States are actually killing our middle class. And the policies that China's doing is actually growing their middle class. It's so freaking, I mean, come on. Come on. China's doing everything it can do to become a modern, #1 on this planet country. And they have their eye on the prize. And that prize is dethroning the United States and becoming the top dog on this planet. And how are they doing it? Well, they're building a coal-burning power plant every week. They're industrializing their country like I don't think our civilization's ever seen that kind of industrialization. It's amazing. While we're doing the exact opposite. We're closing down coal-burning power plants, okay, which in turn makes our power very expensive for industry and for you know, the population. You know, residential power is going up in price, and so is commercial. You know, which makes it impossible for us to compete You know, I've said this a million times. If you got a factory in North America that's making widgets, and you got a factory in China that's making widgets, and it costs, 30% more in North America to power your factory than it does in Beijing, in China, who can make that widget cheaper? You know, and because our country, our government doesn't have our backs anymore. They're not, they're allowing China to dump stuff and destroy our markets. I mean, it's just a mess. But you know what? I don't blame China, because China's playing to win. China is playing to win, and we are playing, well, I'm not even sure what the hell we're doing, to be honest with you. Screwing ourselves. And this whole green nonsense, it's just, it's so freaking ridiculous. It's so freaking ridiculous. And if these people, these green morons, were for real, then they would insist that we don't even fly anymore, period. You know, in fact, the only transcontinental transportation should be by tall ship with sails. You know, zero green emissions there. Of course, then they bitch about deforestation and all that stuff, because, you know, tall ships are made out of wood. You know. Anyway, got him in 11 minutes now. I could go on about this forever. I just want to end this by saying, China, good job. I've never said that before, and I pray I never have to say that again. But good job. Stand tough. Don't put up with any bullshit from the EU or the UN. Or the United States, for that matter, when it comes to this nonsense. And to the United States, grow some balls. Take a page out of the playbook from China. They're playing this to win. And I'm sorry, but I'm not accepting the fact that, you know, we have to be second or third in this world. So, man up. I gotta put on my skates. It's time to go skating. See ya.